planning on changing the world just like me. You could be the chairwoman and I'll be the trustee. Let me give all to your benefit. Then I'll get blessed out my deficit.
Hello, hello. I am back, people. It's Tangiel Johnson with your Corporate IQ, and I am the host.
And I'm your co-host, Lachez Solage.
Lachez, you know what time it is?
Yes.
Well, let me see. Is your makeup ready?
Yes, it is, girl. Yes.
Your hair did?
Yes. Yes.
Pearls are on.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
I'm ready.
All right. Okay, then, people. Get the theme music cued for all the listeners out there. In the words of Q-Tip, high, low, or even open toe. Put your heels on, baby. Okay, so before we get going, though, Lachez, I want to just say how excited I am about our special guest today. She is strong, she is smart, and she is a vibrant woman who understands the importance of building relationships and taking advantage of the opportunities given. And before I
Yes.
bring her on, I want to first go ahead and give a disclaimer for the show, and that is that the views expressed by your corporate IQ and our guest today are our own, and they do not reflect the views of any company or organization. So, with that
Right.
said, thank you all for joining us here on your Corporate IQ podcast, where we will discuss the pearls and the perils of corporate America with a lens from the people of color and their experiences. Today's segment is on using referrals and sponsorship to help you succeed.
Ooh.
And we
Ooh.
have joining us today Ms. Jasmine Beard, Chief Strategist Consultant of Joy Consulting. She likes to curate leadership strategy and high performing teams to make it easier to delight your customer. That includes her doing strategic planning, facilitation, aligning people strategy to business strategy. And she has lived and worked abroad. She speaks four
Wow.
different languages. Mm, let me give her a snap for that. And she has 10 years, uh, actually in corporate, has been promoted 4 times in 5 years with one employer. Girl, welcome. Jasmine, welcome.
Welcome.
You. Thank you so much for having me. I need you on stages when they intro me.
You know, please send a note to info at tangieldjohnson.com.
Okay,
We'll
will do.
be happy to take that booking. Yes.
We're so
Thanks for
happy to have you
joining.
here. Yes, thank you. We're happy to have you here, and I can't wait to hear about your experience. Yes.
Thank you so much for having me.
So with that, we're going to jump in, Jasmine, if you're ready.
I'm ready.
All right. So first question. So I see that you started as an emerging leader, so that's amazing, for a large automotive company. Tell us about your journey from emerging leader to the various promotions. Kind of walk us through that whole journey there. Exciting.
Wow. Okay. Um, so I started in this company, this automotive company. The way that I learned about the opportunity was through um, Tangiel, and learned about Tangiel through a previous mentor who's also still a mentor, but she said, I need you to talk to Tangiel. And when I talked to Tangiel, I had just had my daughter and was working at a local startup, as an interpreter and translator for their French, Spanish, and Portuguese lead generation lines. And I was helping design the scripts with the executive team. So at that time, Tangiel came to visit me, had the baby, and was nursing. And she said, "You're a hustler. You need to bring this hustle to corporate." I'll never forget that. She always said, "Honey, you're a hustler. You need to bring this hustle to corporate." And I said, because I was sharing her all the side jobs and all the things I was doing to sustain myself in between employment. And she said, So I said, okay. She said, well, I need you to talk to somebody. So then I get a call from Carlene. And Carlene, I speak with her. They told me, take a look at this position, see if that's interesting to you. And then I sent her my resume, and she said, wait a minute, there's a better program that I think you're a better fit for. So I applied. They mentioned to me that, there was, a process that I had to go through. And then as part of this opportunity, in the management or emerging leader program or international graduate program at the time, they shared with me I would have to do a 3-month international assignment as part of the requirement to receive full-time employment after completion of the program. So I said, that's fine. I didn't think twice because I knew I had to, make some serious moves at the time. And so when I got into the company, I, pretty much delivered. I definitely wanted to make sure I didn't let Patricia, Tangiel, or Carlene down, because as you talked about, we'll discuss, sponsorships, wanted to make sure that I lived up to their expectations and the endorsements that they had provided for me. And not only that, just showing up fully to maximize my growth while also performing as a professional, or as the hustler Tangel said I am. So moving forward, within the first 6 to 8 months, I acquired my certification. I managed my first project in corporate. At the scale that it was at, it was, a national scale project, and managed that project well, received my Six Sigma Green Belt certification for Lean. And then also from there, completed the program. Once I completed the program, transitioned to same team, a different role. And there I documented, did voice of customer. So process documentation, voice of customer, and did a lot of facilitation. And that's where executive management was made aware of how skilled I was at making people feel comfortable, or allowing people to feel comfortable to share information that they were not able to obtain. And that was basically utilizing my people skills, or relationship building skills. And from there, transitioned to another role that was part of a team that was responsible for implementing customer experience management into the aftermarket of this automotive company. That was quite the success, to where by the time I left, that program and initiative had expanded into two additional departments by the time I left, which was procurement and sales. And then my most recent role before departing from corporate America for full-time self-employment was into sales and pricing. In that role, I did still project management, automation of pricing for the products that we sold, or the vehicles, and then also, or assets really. And then also did external projects with the affinity groups for the the Professional Women's Network, the Mentoring Commission, and then was appointed by the North American president at the time to be part of a team that was to help establish and instill high performance culture within our respective departments. So we would meet with him and have kind of like mastermind discussions, but also go back and implement and share those concepts and ideals with our team members as well. And I also had the privilege of being part of the team that produced content for the executive management team in Sweden. And so we were able to do that as far as what high performance means, and how do you incorporate that into your day to day, and how do you incorporate that into the team culture. And then also helping head up passion projects and videos for conferences for women in the trucking industry.
Wow. Wow. That is a mouthful. You did a lot and achieved a lot in a short period of time. I think one of the things that I took from that, a lot of things I took from it, but one of the things is the responsibility of what I call the referee. So the beneficiary of a referral or a sponsor, you understood your responsibility in that. So I think that's something that listeners need to understand as well, is that you have a responsibility to the referrer, or the person that's referring you, or that person that's sponsoring you. They've put they put their name on you. You know what I mean? So you understood that and you knew you had to perform for them. So I thought that was fantastic. As a young person, you knew that you knew to do that and a certain way of being as the referee. I thought that was fantastic. Even out of everything else you said, I thought that was just one thing that was so fantastic of many. Tangio, what else?
Thank you.
It's just like boiling over here. So what I want to say is, to her credit, she listens. She's a great listener. Everything that
Awesome.
we told her to do, down to how she should dress, she did it. She did everything we told her to do, and of course the rest is on her, right? But in terms of preparation, which is what,
Wow.
I do, right? Is I coach people. Um,
Yes.
she she did everything. She was the perfect student. If there was a student or a coachee, mentee, whatever you want to call her, she did everything like she needed to. Now, once she got in there, even though we were the referral for every position that she was promoted to, she really was sponsored by her own manager, who almost always was a VP. So,
Awesome.
so if you have a VP saying, "Hey, you've done great work here. You've taken what I gave you. You've done everything. I don't have anything else to move you to, but I want you to go talk to this VP." That's a sponsor, and she did that as well. So applause to Miss Jasmine.
Yes,
Yes,
absolutely. Absolutely.
yes,
That's a good
I
segue into my next
yes.
question. So some definitions to start. So a referral is, individuals, an individual or individuals that are in a position to refer you for a position. So, hey, Jasmine's great. You should take a look at her for XYZ position. A sponsor is someone that has hiring authority. So someone that can actually move you into a position. So just wanted to make that distinction as I go into this question. How have referrals and sponsorship helped you in your career? We talked about it a little bit, and Tangio talked about it a little bit, but from your perspective, how have those two things really helped you in your corporate career?
Um, One, awareness. That's the first thing. I had a conversation earlier today about, just use an example of going from high school to college, the scholarships and funding opportunities, especially if you're a first generation grad. If you're not aware that the opportunities are there, you can't take advantage of them. And so
Right.
with the referrals, it's being aware that these resources, these people, these programs, these opportunities exist, as far as from awareness and from the referral and response sponsorship opportunities. But then more importantly, it's validating to show that, okay, someone
Mm,
does believe in me. I am being seen. I'm not just a title. I'm not just another employee. Um, and then also it's confidence building for the next role. So when you're sponsored, that doesn't mean that you're always fit for that role. It doesn't mean you're going to perform it because it's a new role, it's a new department, it's a new opportunity. So it's confidence building to say that, okay, they see me, they see something in me to refer me, but then there's another level of encouragement and confidence that comes with, I know you're here, but I think now you need to go to this level, and that in
right.
itself is not only validating, but it builds confidence to say, this is a new challenge, but they see something in me, and I may see it in myself or seen glimpses of it, or I might not see myself at this level yet or hadn't, thought about this opportunity, but I have the courage because now they have said, hey, this is where you need to be. And knowing that and learning from the referrals and sponsorships, right? So not only being referred, but also learning, why are you referring me to this role? What do you think that you saw in me or observed that made you think that I would be a good fit for this role or opportunity? Learning that and then going to research. So it was just keeping me in the constant state of, don't get comfortable. Always been pretty self-driven, but it was always a great reminder, don't get comfortable because your journey's not over yet. It doesn't stop here. And when someone comes to refer you, it's like, okay, I got more work to do, got more learning, got more growing. When the sponsor comes and they could pour into you, okay, this is the next level. They see that I can achieve that because when they've got more wisdom and years, they know what you're capable of, even if you haven't seen it yet.
I think what's powerful about what you're saying here, and it's so important to have referrals and to have sponsors. This is a topic and a pearl that will surface throughout our podcast. It's so important to a career. You are a beneficiary of those two things, but it's extremely important to have that type of support in your career. It's really make or break. I think most people that are successful in a corporate space have had one or other throughout their career. And I think it's a perfect segue for me to also say, our podcast is about the POC experience and teaching this community, right? So this is an opportunity for us to understand as POCs, we have to give back in this way, right? We have to give
Absolutely.
back and be a sponsor to someone if you're in the power position to do so, and you have to be a referee or someone that refers another person of color into roles if you see that talent in them, and also to be a mentor, right? So, mentor them also. Hey, there's some gaps perhaps that you see. You see a bright, shining star, but there's also some mentorship that could probably happen to get them to the next steps as well. So those are things that we need to do as persons of color is reach back as we rise, reach back
Yeah.
and be in a position to help other persons of color move along in their career. It's so important to a success in a career. Fantastic. Fantastic. Next,
Absolutely. If I may insert something that you
sure.
said about giving back, that was also for me very gratifying. For to be able to one know what sponsorship and referral looks like, and then also be able to be in positions to do the same thing.
Wow.
And one of the things that I'm beyond grateful for is when, like you said, seeing the shining stars. But in referring them or sponsoring them, I learned just as much from them as they grew, because what they maybe where they were in that stage in their career, I might not have captured some of the nuggets or wisdom or opportunities, but it's like, wow, they really maximized this to the next level. There are some things that I took from that to say, okay, how do I use this to leverage my next opportunity? And so it's a gift that keeps on giving. So that's one thing I will say that another big blessing that comes out of that is that I'm put in places to be able to continue that gift, that circle of giving, but also keep continuing my growth in the process, both ways.
It's fulfilling, right, Jasmine? I mean, it's one thing to have a set of goals and navigate, and again, we'll talk about that over and over again, but it's another thing to have that fulfillment, right? That giving back to someone else. It's very fulfilling to be able to do that as you work towards your goals.
Absolutely.
Wonderful.
I want to just say something really quick. So it's like um, seeing everything that you wish that your children would do, right? Listen to you, right? Take your words of wisdom and go out and soar. And if anybody out there listening is a parent, you know that that's a very small number that will do that, right? Right? They know better than you, the parent. But when you can get that satisfaction from someone that you didn't birth, you're like, yes, finally, somebody's gonna take this nugget and somebody's gonna do something good with it. So I
You
have
know,
lots of babies.
oh my God, you sure do. You sure do. Also, before this is a topic, I want to stay on this for a minute because it's so important. I mean, that's what the whole episode's about, right? But I think that a few things that you said were fantastic in terms of awareness, the validation, and confidence building. I can't move on from this without surfacing what you said there. It's a big deal. And again, really important to someone's career growth,
Mhm.
right? To know that you have that validation. It's a different thing to move through. It's that extra piece that you have to perform, right? You have that validation, you have something, and then it pushes you further to work towards something greater, right? But it's just a make and break in someone's career to be able to do that for someone. It's fantastic, but it's good that you recognize each piece of that as someone that's a recipient. You weren't someone that was like, look, you didn't take it for granted. You understood all the things that you benefited from, all the gems that you got from that. So it's amazing.
Yeah, it's a real gift, for someone to see you getting ready to, walking on a bridge, and if there's a plank that's missing, or I say riding a bike, for someone to put, we're going to fall off the bike when we're learning, but for someone to put knee pads on you, the
Yes.
scrape is not as hard, right? So, and that's a gift for someone to want to give you that knowledge without you having to learn the hard way or scraping your knees up too bad before you learn that lesson or learn or get that opportunity.
And most of us don't have that. It's a gift. And most of us do not have that. There's so many of us that, everything you do is on your own. And it's just so much harder that way. If you have no support, no one to reach back to you, your career could perhaps be longer. It's harder because there's so many things that you have to bump into on your own because no one is there to help you, to guide you along. You have so much potential, but you need that extra help. You need that extra support. Right, Tangiel?
Yes, and I'm again still bubbling with so many things I want to say about Miss Jasmine. But what I'll say to add to your last comment, Lachez, is yes, it's a gift, but I have to throw back to family and parenting again. Um, Jasmine is an old soul. And people have heard that expression. It tends to come from when you're around old people and grandparents and things of this nature. They teach you some nuggets and wisdom that you don't normally get if you don't have that structure in place. And I just talked to an employer yesterday, a person of color. She owns her own business and she has employees. And she said, you won't believe how hard it is right now to not only obtain the talent, but make them understand what the gift they've been given. She said, we are back to teaching the basics of home training. And I'm like, what? You're kidding me. And so, people like Jasmine and the old souls of the world, they do have a little bit more to offer, in corporate because they may not have all of the ways of corporate outlined yet, but they have enough wisdom and understanding to, hey, I better listen to this person that's trying
That's
to
right.
guide me. I better try to pick up on these nuggets. I better research, blah, blah, blah. So I just want to, again, commend my baby over there
Aww. Oh, it's a
for
certain
being
amount of humbling
awesome.
yourself. It's a certain amount of humbling yourself to it, right?
Yes,
That's what she was willing and able to do, and then it
yes,
benefited her. That's a requirement. As someone that's the beneficiary of a referral or sponsor, you have to humble yourself to things. You don't
yeah.
know everything, and humble yourself to that idea. You don't. And so if you do that, you can be successful. And she did. She listened. Hey, these people have been around a long time. They must know something. She's very smart. So Jasmine is good for herself. She's very smart. She understands, look, they've been somewhere that I haven't, so I need to listen to that. It's very simple.
She did. And
Is
then
that right?
surpassed, and then just went soaring on her own, as I knew she would. She's fantastic.
Wonderful. So I
Hmm.
see that you are fluent in so many languages, so Spanish, Portuguese, French, and of course English.
Look at this.
Tell us how being multilingual has helped you in your career. I mean, that's amazing.
So, wow. Being multilingual, there are a lot of benefits. Obviously, there's some cognitive benefits that I've learned along the way of being multilingual. That even just from learning new words in the English language, having that knowledge
Oh,
of other languages can help you figure out the context of what that word may or may not mean. But on a larger scale of things, relationship building. When you know one of the VPs the first year that I was in the company, when he found out I was fluent in his native language, I mean, that was an instant like connection there. When he found out I went to school in Brazil and found out that I was actually in the city that he was living in at the time, or that he used to live in. That was an instant connection. And then from there, it was a natural progression that we built a relationship, and he became a sponsor as well, a significant sponsor, especially when I faced some very unfavorable challenges with a project that I was leading during that time. And also when I went to work in his country, and after knowing that I had studied abroad there, when he found out that I was going to be doing a market analysis and feasibility study, he was my project sponsor while I was in South America. He made sure that my accommodations for living, my vehicle, was taken care of. He connected me with colleagues that were already there. So by the time I got there, I already felt like I was going to home away from home. Just my office was in Brazil at the time. And that was, he helped me establish this nest and ecosystem of or village of support, if you will. So that's one of the major ways that helped as far as being multilingual. Um, Another way was, projects that I've been on that required me to speak Spanish. I was able to gain the trust, or cultivate trust of the professionals that I was interacting with. I learned when I inherited the project, or when it was delegated to me, that they had trouble getting information from certain teams or certain individuals, or understanding their way of working. But when I got there and having the initial meetings and phone calls, and they're like, you speak Spanish, just the relief, because even though they're interacting, working in a company that is, has a headquarter in the US and speaking English every day, it still can become exhausting to have to operate hours on end in a language on a 2 or 3 hour meeting. And then you go back to the rest of the 24, let's say the rest of the 18 hours of your day speaking your native tongue. So, because you're having to be on cognitively,
Mm.
so the relief they felt when I would come on the call and start speaking Spanish, and oh gosh, we can do this meeting in Spanish. And everybody starts laughing. Good, because I can let my hair down now. Now I don't have to pull up my Google Translate, right? Especially with all the accents and dialects we have in the U.S. People think it's hard to understand people who have an accent that speak another language, but English speakers, I'll say. But then think about the English speakers that have varying accents, varying dialects, whether you're from New York or you from North Carolina, right? And they're having to decipher all of that. So, but that in itself built trust immediately. It built appreciation. The doors flew open anytime I needed any type of information or documentation. I didn't have any obstacles. And so that was something I definitely did not take for granted. And I also understand the people side of business is that of course, when learning a culture, learning a language, you inherit the culture. It's kind of, it doesn't even make sense to think that you're going to learn a language, become fluent, and not know anything about the culture. In my perspective, that's a disregard for the people in a sense. So to learn about the culture, that is a huge part of the language, that goes hand in hand. You understand that when you, especially in Latin America, they need to know you personally. They need to know who you are as a person and get to trust you. So when you show that you've gone the extra mile to learn their language, it's like, oh, wow, this is a whole different level of respect and a whole different level of trust, that you've taken the time to not only learn our language, but you've learned our culture. That's real allyship in a sense, that you have respect for it. And with that, then you're invited to family cookouts and all of that. You're you become part of the family, depending on the geography and demographics. But there's colleagues that I met that we still keep in touch via WhatsApp and share about our daughter's growth journeys. And but for the most part, my project was a lot more successful, and the timeline was accelerated on getting things done because I was able to speak the language, but also address them as humans and people first, before I look at what their titles are or what their tasks and roles and responsibility and deadlines are on the project.
It's really incredible, Tangio, because with Jasmine, I don't have to really pull out the pearls. And the reason I don't have to do it is because, and correct me if I'm wrong, Jasmine, you're quite reflective in what you've
Very.
done. You understand the pieces of everything you've received, and it allows you to be, like, as Tangio calls you, a hustler. That's what a hustler is. You're constantly learning and you're constantly absorbing. So you've understood everything that you received, so you're able to do it again, right?
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
what I
Yeah.
understand about you. That's what you're doing. You learn at every turn and completely reflective and understand each piece of what you received. And you can only do that uh, as you're paying attention and you use that information to be successful next time. I think that's your process.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. It's interesting you say that, because I have a key signature talk called the GPS within, and starting
Oh,
within to guide how you navigate without or throughout the world or in this existence.
I have a
That is our
question.
GPS.
I have a question. That GPS within, do you have a theme song tied to it?
Not yet, but
Okay,
I'm
I got
totally
I, I
open.
got one for you. I got one for you. I got one for you.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm a hustler, baby.
Oh,
That's what I am. That just go ahead and take that. Just go ahead and take that.
thank you. That will be my intro song.
That's it. That's it. Give it a new meaning. Give it a new respect. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. Thank
But that's, I
you.
mean, that's the gem. That's the pearl for the listeners, right? You
Yes,
want to
yes.
be reflective. I mean, you don't have to spend a ton of time reflecting on your experiences, but it's good to do it. Understand how you got to where you are. So sometimes
Sure.
it's not, navigation's not always you have everything perfect and you know exactly what you're doing every single time. Sometimes it's reflectiveness, if that's even a word. It's a
Mm,
matter of being reflective, and then you can kind of navigate it perfectly the next time, right? So being
mm,
reflective can help you to to build your next set of goals and that sort of thing. You don't have to always, like, each time I know exactly what I'm doing for everything, but you can also look back and create as you move forward. So
great.
fantastic.
Absolutely.
How do you think your corporate experience helped you to launch your business? What skills and abilities did you take with you?
There's a lot I didn't take with me.
And I'm sure that was a choice that you made.
Absolutely. And you know, as you say, as people of color, that we learn a lot of what not to do and how not to interact or treat people, how not to engage, how not to manage, what is professional, what's not professional. Oftentimes, we have to learn how to go high even when others go low, and so that's, you know, just the very low hanging fruit side of it. But on a deeper level, um, it has it helped me in a way that, one, learning how business is done, learning how to formulate strategic partnerships, um, learning how to always ensure that I'm creating win-win solutions, whether it's with a client or with a strategic business partner. um, and learning, one of the first things I learned when my first year was the power of collaboration. You know, I've been a collaborative person, but however, and you know, as an entrepreneur, you feel like you're on a ship alone a lot of times, and it can be easy to go down that spiral. But then you feel like you come up for air when you're collaborating with others, whether it's just brainstorming together or co-working to get together. Money Talk with Tips, sometimes we'll hop on a Zoom and won't say a word to each other, but just to know that that energy is there, or I can ask her a question right there, just is energizing, and we knock out so much by doing that. And even with some colleagues here, we do that occasionally. But the first thing I learned, tying back to that comment about when power of collaboration, I remember they were doing a new initiative, starting a new service project to enhance the customer experience in the aftermarket. They were talking about, we need to collaborate. We can't do it. We have the money, we've got the power to do it on our own, but we don't have that very high specificity of expertise in this particular industry and the technical skill sets to fully execute on making this come to fruition. So,
Mm,
knowing that, I saw how decisions were being made. I was in the middle of, why is this a good strategic partner? I had those opportunities to do a comparative analysis on who had the strategic edge, which strategic partner had the competitive advantage over the others, and why, based on where our goals are and what we're trying to deliver for the client or the customer, and how it aligns in their journey with our services and products. And
mhm.
so that was one way. Of course, the project management experience, having it in a more formal way, because I used to, you know, people say, well, you don't look like you have over 20 years of project management experience. And I'm like, well, I learned that project management was just a fancy word for getting you know what done. And so when I
Yes.
found myself in those positions, even as a young person, you know, middle school, high school, college, always being the one, or oftentimes being the one, people say, I need to get this done. Can you do it for me? You know, our high school Valentine's Day dance was going to be canceled. The principal said, we're not hosting it. If you guys can get it planned and you can sell at least 50 tickets, then we'll let you have it. We sold 75 tickets. We had moms, aunts, uncles cooking cornbread, baked spaghetti, and whatever else in between. And an uncle was able to DJ, and we had a few chaperones. So that right there, I was able to reflect and say that was project management, right? Resourceful, tying resources to strategy to execute. And so knowing that I had that, that's what I was able to pull from to be successful in corporate. And then again, enhancing that, speaking the corporate language and lingo. That was
Mm.
one thing that Tangio always talked about. You got the goods. So she said, you got the goods, honey bun. You need to learn the lingo and you're good to go. And
That
so
is her. That is her.
so
As a direct quote, folks. That is a direct quote, folks. A direct
yes.
quote. She says it all the time, just like that, folks.
Yes, you got the goods, honey bun. You just need to learn the lingo. And so, learning the lingo, and then again, still always looking, how can I be more professional? How can I, and from a branding perspective, that was big. That for me was big. With branding, some of my experiences with promotion and things like that, early stages when my brother used to do homecoming parties and things like that, and promoting and doing the guerrilla tactic, passing out flyers in Walmart and everything. But then getting into corporate America, it's like, okay, this is what they're doing. Their name is on everything. It's like there's nothing that's in this office that their name isn't on. And giving things to clients and customers and partners and all this stuff. And it's like, you know what, when I get my business, this is what I need to do. I don't care what my budget is. So I mean, even to the point of my glasses say life is a joy. So that's merch coming to a online platform near you soon. So
Yes, merch, 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 merch. Enjoy merch.
yeah, thank you. And so, at the end of the day, it's like I'm learning all those facets of business. And I said, I don't have to be Fortune 500 size, right, to do Fortune 500 things. And so I don't have to have the Fortune 500 budget to do Fortune 500 activities. So looking at how do I utilize all of these assets and all of these activities that they're doing to make sure they stay relevant, they stay top of mind with their customers and clients or partners, how they stay at top of line for quality, because that was very important to me. I've had years of customer service and sales prior to going into corporate America, or at least this company. And so knowing that I was, and being people passionate about people and human centric, that was one thing that I would say that I brought to a lot of the projects, is the people and human element, which was really,
Oh,
really
okay.
cool. And so learning that with Brazil market being the benchmark for success in people, um, it was a VP or HRBP in Brazil that wrote the book called The Human Side of Success. I was so excited. I was like, yes, because people are everything. Like they're the key to everything that moves, even with, automation, technology. People have to create that. So, people, oh, we're going to be losing jobs due to technical advancement. Well, but there's still people that got to create the technological advances and manage them and troubleshoot when they don't go right. And so, it's lots of insights about things that enhanced my perspective on life and business in general. But it was like, in my perspective, it was like getting an MBA without having to go and enroll and get $60,000 or more of debt to get that MBA. And I do feel like there may be some things that I could still glean from that. I still respect that manner of education, but I know I'm a hands-on person. That's typically what entrepreneurs and hustlers are. We learn while we do. And so for me, it was like getting an MBA in business and life, and even it's in people, because you still got to interact with people wherever you go.
Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. What are you the most proud of? I mean, you have a long way to go in your career, so that's understood. There's so much for you to still do. But so far, I mean, what are you most proud of?
What am I most proud of? Most proud of, there are a few things. First and foremost is, I will say, my health. That's the biggest thing, because if we are not healthy, we can't do anything. Like our brain, our mental health is our health. The brain is the center of our existence. However, moving on to that, I most proud of having, as Tangio said, the wisdom, the insight, the humility to listen, to receive the gifts that are presented before me, and to be able to process them and take action. So turning the input into outcomes, not just for myself and my family, but also for other people, to continue that on. Proud of that. because everybody's not always in a situation, and some people choose not to. There's nothing wrong if you don't, but then there are others where I've seen have blocked those opportunities, right?
Right.
And so just being proud to be another beacon and or limb on some, or root limb or whatever on someone's journey. And so and most importantly, because I am a mother, most proud to be able to share all these lessons and stories and wisdom with my daughter. I mean, it's hilarious how she mocks me sometimes and will say, I was inducted to the Women's Professional Forum last year, and they said, what is something that your daughter says? What if we asked your daughter, what would she say one of your most common and popular quotes would be? And she said, I videotaped her, and she said, Anya, stop it. I don't have time for this negative energy. I can't entertain this right now.
Wow, smart girl.
And,
Smart girl.
yeah. And so if she picked that up, I'm proud of that, because again, things happen in life. I am no stranger to resilience and chaos and trauma and things and the human experience.
Yeah.
But if she gleaned that I don't have time for negative energy, that to me is a huge sign that she's paying attention.
Yeah.
She's paying attention, and I'm grateful, and I'm hoping that she carries that with her in anything that she does, that things are going to happen, but we don't always have time, and it's not worth entertaining the negative energy. And I'm sure there are other things that she'll say, and but again, being prideful to be in a position to show her, this is where life has taken me, and this is what I want to give to you, because this is what's possible, and you can do even way more than what I'm doing. And to be able to share that with other young men and women as well. I mean, that for me is because a lot of times being in places where people of color are not widely represented, I hear a lot of times, I don't want to be the only one in the room. I don't want to work there because they don't have a lot of people. Well, sometimes we have to be the person to be there. So being proud to have the courage to do that, right? Because there is a
Right.
lot of weight that weighs on us in those rooms. And unfortunately, we walk in with a lot of things on our back. Life, current situations, the expectation that we represent our entire ethnicity. And then also the blessing that helps us is we walk in the room with the ancestors on our back, and that helps keep us sane sometimes, or even as
That's
Ted
right.
Jill said, grandparents, because sometimes the young Jasmine want to say some things or act a certain way, but then grandma, the old soul, will say, just keep your mouth shut, don't say nothing, press your lips and sit on your hands. Press your lips and sit on your hands. That's a t-shirt. But so but, so there's a lot of things I'm proud of, and a lot of those are not necessarily material or intangible. They're just things that carry us through life to be able to see the next year and the next opportunity, and the growth and progression of our children and loved ones.
Awesome. Wow, you seem to conduct yourself with a sense of fulfillment and kind of understanding, kind of grounded in things that matter. So, again, kudos to you for so many things, but that's fantastic as well. Just your total package is awesome, right, Tangiel?
Girl, not only is she smart, like I said, and strong and multilingual, but she also nice on the eyes. Let me just throw that in
Oh,
there.
That's right. That's right. Beautiful also. Beautiful
For that,
also.
for those of you who don't know who Chrisette Michelle is, look her up and see if they don't look like twins, because they do. I just want to put it out there.
I think she looks better than Chris F. Michelle, I think. That's just me
I'll,
personally.
I'll go with that. Yep. Hmm.
thank
She's
y'all.
hotter. She's hotter. So Jasmine, tell our listeners about A Joy Consulting. Just tell us a little bit there, and also how the listeners can contact you.
Awesome. So, as Tanjo mentioned earlier, Joy Consulting is a strategic consulting firm, and we provide or help design. We collaborate with our clients to help design and curate leadership strategies and high performing teams that make it easy to delight your customers. Some of the ways that we do that is through strategic planning, facilitation, and helping you align your people strategy to your business strategy for optimized bottom line outcomes. at the very minimum. And then also we provide motivational speaking opportunities. That's one of the most popular ways that our clients tend to work with us, other than referrals. But
Mhm.
motivational speaking or team talent assessment workshops are typically the most common entry points, unless sometimes a lot of times we're blessed and people are like, we already know we want to work with you. How do we get started? So that's a blessing that I do not take for granted. And I credit my village, my corporate experience, and of course the self-learning, to always keep my skills sharp. A continuous growth and learning within the team, that we accredited to that as far as the pool and satisfaction of our clients. How to get in contact with us: Jasmine.B, and that's JASMINE as in boy, at ajoy, AJOY, the number 2, consult.com. Jasmine.B at ajoy2consult.com. Or to make it easier, if you're on any of the social media or digital platforms, Instagram and Facebook, at ajoy consulting. LinkedIn, Jasmine Beard, you can reach out to me there. But either way, you can, on the website, you can schedule a consultation call with us as well.
Awesome.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you for sharing your experience. It's been wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate
Isn't
the
she
opportunity.
wonderful? Isn't she wonderful? I'm sorry. I feel like such the glowing mom right now. But anyway, thank you, baby. Thank you so much for coming on and
Thank
sharing how
you.
awesome your ride has been. And so, people, remember, stay tuned for more episodes of Your Corporate IQ podcast. We're interested in hearing from you. Send your topic suggestions and comments to info@yourcorporateiq.com. Like us and engage with us on Your Corporate IQ Instagram and LinkedIn. We would love to build an online community with you. Thanks again. Stay tuned.
Thank you.
High, low, close or open toe. You be looking good when you rock 'em, so put your heels on, girl. Them heels on, lady. Hit your ground hard, you drive me crazy. Palms get sweaty, I'm imagining things. When I see what reality brings, I get choked from your vision of comparable. So dumb, man, I could write a parable. Killing when I go back to my rat hole living. Michelangelo, you on the ceiling.